right, ladies and gentlemen, what's good? What's good? Welcome to another interview series here on We Create Music TV. I, of course, am your host, Bevon, and tonight we have an amazing legend with us tonight. Oh, we are going to get into some stuff tonight with lyricist, musician, and composer, Mr. Michael B. Sutton. This gentleman has worked with legends. I'm only going to name one, right? I can name a whole bunch, but one would be Michael Jackson, right? Jay Z, Kanye West, Dionne Warwick, who we'll get into. Y'all know I'm supposed to be related to Dionne Warwick in some way. That's what they say, right? But tonight we're going to talk to Mr. Michael B. Sutton about his music, his life, and his amazing career. So, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Michael B. Sutton.
Hello. Thank
Good
you.
evening, sir. Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah. Good
Yes,
evening.
sir. Yes, sir. So,
hmm
for those individuals who do not know who you are, right?
hmm hmm
Kind of give us the background story of how you got started in music.
Um, excuse us, my door. Anyway, how I got started? Oh, I started way. Oh my goodness. You're gonna start telling my age now. Anyway, but I started in gospel music. And gospel
Mm-hmm.
music, it goes way back to. Excuse me, someone's coming in the door. Someone in the door. I'm in an interview. Excuse me. Yeah. Yes. That's my daughter just showed up. She's in the studio, I think. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. Anyway,
Nope, it's okay.
yeah, I started in gospel music, playing in the church, and uh, I was playing church and worked for various artists. Oh my goodness, James Cleveland. Never worked with Andre Crouch, but James Cleveland, various choirs around town, and
Mm-hmm.
I played organ. Matter of fact, I played organ at James Cleveland's church for about 3 months after Kenny Moore went on the road with to Tina Turner. So
Mm-hmm.
Tina Turner, and I took his place for 3 months. And then from James Cleveland to excuse me.
It's okay. I think it took your audio away when you got that phone call. So give us one moment, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, Mr. Sutton is a very busy man, so I appreciate him taking time out to be here this evening. It took your audio away. Yep, when you got that phone call, your audio went out. Nope, still can't hear you. So be with us in one moment, ladies and gentlemen, as we get this underway. So if I can hang you up and then you can just dial back in and see if that works. You want to do that? Okay, let's do that, and we'll see if it gets your audio working again. All right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. When you got the phone call, it took your audio away
No, I'm sorry, man. That's
because
Jesus
because it
Lord.
came in
People, I
on.
don't know why everybody. I told everybody I had interviews with this night. It was
Hey.
insane, So
Yep.
I
No,
hope I
I
didn't
get
mess
it.
things up.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's okay. Uh,
Okay.
so so let's start at the beginning, right? So
Okay.
just kind
hmm
of give us the whole story of how you got started.
I started with I started with gospel music. I played in church. It was a church called the Church of Living God up in the Bay Area. I was in Oakland, from Oakland, California. I was working in there for quite a. I played organ there, and from there I started getting more calls for playing for different other churches. And eventually I moved down. I was flown from actually, I think it was about 13 years old. I was flown from LA, I mean, from Oakland to LA to play on an album at a sister church here in LA. And that
Mm.
kind of got bit by the bug, the gospel bug then. So I was playing the organ on that album. And then later on, I left home at 17,
Oh
came
wow.
to LA, came to LA and was playing for a church down here. And my organ playing started developing more and more. I really started back in before that. I mean, I went in high school at Oakland Technical High School. We had a big thing called the shindig, and
Mm-hmm.
because it was like a thing with Billy Preston. It was way back in the day. They had it on TV, that thing called shindig, and I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. And Billy Preston was the actually like was on the organ, and it's a regular TV show on weekends, and so they had auditions for the high school was going to put on a shindig, the high school
Mm-hmm.
and the auditorium. So they had auditions, and I didn't even wasn't even going to audition. I was too shy. But anyway, so I was in the choir stand, in the choral class, in my choir class, and two friends of mine. It was at the end of the audition, and everybody sitting. So the teacher says, "Anybody else want to audition?" And I was like this. I got my arms tight. I said, "No, not me." And so my buddies, my two friends, took me by and raised my hand up. They raised my hand up and said, "Michael's coming out." And so they had a little organ down there. So I walked down in the choir down to the floor where the teacher was, and I had a little Farfisa organ, and I played this little Jimmy Smith kind of vibe, and everybody just loved it. And so then they rented this whole big organ for the shindig that came on down the shindig that came on. When was this? About it was about a month later. They put on this big show, and I put on a worst suit and had shades on, and I was supposed to be Billy Preston on the organ. But it was a great experience. And so that I got bit by the bug then. And then I was playing for this group. Um, there's a group called the Kisses. Three girls were called the Kisses. Had a group, and a kid that danced like his name was by name of Lil Dion. And so I was playing with them a lot. So that's kind of my early uh, inklings of playing music.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to LA, playing for one church, and so my talent started catching on. People started really liking what I was doing. So then I started playing for. I was playing for four churches in one Sunday.
Okay, how did you pull that? How did you pull that off?
Okay, here we go. First church was 11 o'clock service for one church, right? They get out at 2 o'clock. I drive down the street, down Figueroa to the street on the corner, TP Moss's church, which had a afternoon broadcast, which is 3 o'clock.
Mm.
And then I leave his church and go to Reverend Evans Baptist Church on Vermont and play at his 7 o'clock p.m. broadcast. And I come back to my church at the end
Wow.
after an hour there and played those four churches. And sometime it was five. No, it was one time it was five churches. I don't know how I fit it in,
Now,
but
what are, what are these? What are these black churches?
oh, they were 11, man.
Right.
Oh
Ex-
yeah, it was. Oh
exactly.
yeah, well,
Exactly.
it was
Come on
really.
back for the
It was.
evening service.
Oh, evening service. Let me tell you, man.
Exactly.
I had so much. I had so much church. Uh, it was ridiculous. Sunday school in the morning. Uh, 11 o'clock service. Then it was YPU, Young People's Union, at 6. And sometime I was raised by my grandparents. My grandmother making me
Mm.
go to
Mm-hmm.
evening service at 7:30. So I churched out, churched
Got
out.
churched out.
Oh yeah, I mean to this day, and then summertime comes, you got to go to like Bible school.
Bible,
I
you got
mean,
a
it's like,
vocational Bible school.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah. They were raising us to unconsciously become ministers, to,
Exactly.
to not involuntarily become preachers.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and I still can pronounce all the books of the Old Testament. I never forgot it because we had so many drills.
They drilling it. That's right.
You just anyway. Long story short, uh, there was a director named Stan Lee who started this choir. He wanted to start a choir, and so he met with me and my former wife Brenda met at our house, and we started to form this choir called the Stan Lee Ensemble, or the Inspirational Voices of Faith. And and we put together a choir. And he knew some people, and he knew a keyboard player, and I was playing the organ,
Mm-hmm.
and we rehearsed. I rehearsed, and we wanted to really make a splash in the gospel industry.
Mm.
So we made a. So we had our first debut. Uh, we sung at a church where James Cleveland was at, and we blew the house down. Everybody was there. And so James Cleveland said, "You guys are great." So next thing you know, James Cleveland wanted to produce an album with us, work on an album
Wow.
with us. So
Wow.
he took us in the studio. We did an album with James Cleveland, and I ended up writing 2 songs with James Cleveland. So that led to another. Then I was playing for another guy named Kenneth Glover. He was doing Disneyland every other Sunday at Disneyland at the chapel.
Mm.
Um, so I was getting busier and busier and busier and busier. And I was working for this church and that church, but I still did. It was all gospel at the time. But anyway, so this one minister said, you could probably make some money doing this. I said, really?
Like what?
Because back then, I don't. The guys who play organ for churches now and rehearsals, they make real money. Back then, we got $20 a Sunday.
Oh wow.
Plus
Oh, what,
rehearsal.
so did you get $20 per session per or?
Per church, it was like $20 or $40, $20 a
Mm-hmm.
Sunday. That was it back then. But now, I mean, like these
Now they
guys
got
are making
salaries.
five. Oh, they got salary like $5 grand a month. They do contracts now.
That's right.
They have lawyers.
Exactly. They got lawyer, publicists.
They
They got
got publicists and
manager. They,
managers and
they
stuff.
got manager. They got church managers,
Yeah,
church
I
musician
mean, I know,
managers.
I know somebody who really has a manager for his
Wow.
gospel stuff. Anyway, so let me see the sequence here. Then after that, I went to oh yeah, I was playing for Kenneth Glover, and then from there I went on. That's when Kenny Moore, who was playing for James Cleveland, went on the road with Tina Turner. And so James asked me if I could play, so I played there for 3 months. Then I went after that. I worked with this other church, and this minister was saying, you and your wife, think you guys could, you're so talented, you guys could make money by it. I said, he said, yeah, but I was kind of in the church. He said, no, I want to stay gospel. I know this is God's work. And he said, well, there's a difference in your occupation and your salvation. I said, yeah, you got a point there. You got a point there. And he said,
Right.
well, come on, people make bombs, and they make bombs. So why can't you go and make music?
Mm.
And the Christian people make bombs, or whatever. So I said, you got a point. So anyway, and at the time we were living in Watts. I mean, Watts, it was a
Oh,
tough neighborhood,
right.
and I used to come home. We used to come home from church, man. I'm not saying that all the parts of LA is bad in that part, but at that time it was pretty rough where we were,
Mm-hmm.
right off the train tracks, and we come home sometime and people robbing. They would we come home, their house was clean. They would clean out the food, stealing. TV was
Wow.
gone, everything else. And so I said, you know what? I think I want to move, and I took a job at the studio out in Hollywood. I was still living in LA, and I was cleaning the toilets in the studio. I was cleaning the toilets and just
Mm-hmm.
cleaning toilets and stuff. But then on my break, I would go in there and get on the piano and play. And
That's right.
we started this little gospel group. We came in, and we were coming in on the downtime. It's a little studio. It's like a little 8-track studio called Fidelity. And at the group we coming in, we sing, and they go home and we practice and do our little thing. But then one
Mm-hmm.
time this guy comes in and hears me playing. He says, uh, "What is that you playing?" I said, "It's some songs I wrote." He said, "Wow, those are pretty good." He said, "Have you thought about doing a demo?" I said, "No, what's a demo?" He said, "This is a demonstration. Let's just see what it sounds like, and maybe you could shop it around or something like that." And I said, yeah, sure. So anyway, he hired some musicians, came in and recorded my song. His name was Alan O'Day, who became, of
Mm.
course, was made some. Alan O'Day he wrote. I didn't know who he was at the time. He was just a guy who was wanted to record me. But later on, I found out who he was. He became a
Right.
great friend. Alan O'Day, he passed on over about 8 years ago, 9 years ago. He wrote, excuse me, he wrote. Big hit for #1 record for Helen Reddy. Was it Angie Baby? Helen Reddy.
Mm-hmm.
He had a big hit himself called Undercover Angel. Wrote for Cher and everybody, stuff like that.
Wow.
And yeah, so that was like anyway. And I had a friend of mine named Mike Schuler who was the engineer there, And so my little group came in. We had a recording. We recorded this. Back then you think you got whatever you recorded, it's the best thing in the
It's the
world.
best thing at that, right? That's
Can't
right.
nobody tell you that it's not the best thing in the world. Anyway, so yeah, we recorded this song by little gospel groups. One called "Stop," and "Stop, Take a Good Look at Yourself," and the other one was called "We Live to Love." I never forget that. And on the
Mm.
song "Stop," at the end we had this. We made a fake siren sound. Anyway, long story short,
Because
I take
you didn't
this.
have sound effects, right?
No, I took this. I take this little demo, and I'm walking down Hollywood Boulevard because back then you didn't have to have. You could take unsolicited material. You could knock on doors, you know, and you could not make phone calls, and people say, "Come on
Right.
up, play it." Not like today,
Not
But so
today.
I had that my little briefcase and that demo in my hand. I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. Of course, I got turned down everywhere.
I was about to ask you, what was the outcome?
No,
What happened?
nothing happened. But so anyway, I'm getting to the meat of this
Mm-hmm.
situation. Alan O'Day said, "You know what? I went to his house and he went through all my songs. He said, what I want to do for you, I want to give you a scholarship to UCLA Extension for songwriting." I said, "Oh wow, really? Okay." And so he gave me so he paid for my this is 6 month course, 6 week course, songwriting, with Al Kasher and Joel Hirschbaum, the two guys that wrote this big hit called "The Morning After" for the Poseidon Adventure. The big songwriter for movies and film. They were the teachers, so I learned a lot of good basics there.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, I got a job at a studio. Stan Kenton, former jazz band, a jazz player, uh, traditional jazz, big orchestra. Stan Kenton. I was stacking albums there,
Mm.
and I met one guy there who let me borrow his keyboard, and I wrote it. Did another demo, and but I'm still newly, not that long married. We have kids, and so we still need to make money. So we started gigging. We got a gig at the Pizza Palace. We found two managers. I call them fly by night managers because they just were hustlers. They were
Hustler.
booking us
That's
in
right.
they were booking us in swing clubs, man. No,
Wow.
swinger,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
man,
Yeah. Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you walk in, you go in the club, man. You see guy and a girl come in, and they go out with. Wait a minute, did he come in with her, and he's going out with her?
Oh wow. Right. You're like,
I know, yeah. It was like,
where
wait a
we
minute,
at?
who?
That's
But
right.
so we were doing some swing clubs, and um, I don't even remember the actor Doug McClure. Doug McClure, he goes way back.
Mm-hmm.
He's back the Virginian. He was a star in a movie show called The Virginian. Anyway, Doug
Mm-hmm.
McClure was one of the he owned a club in Studio City called the Doug McClure Swing Club. And we thought it was swinging like
Right.
dancing.
Like just
it was
dancing,
it was
swinging.
yeah,
Nah.
yeah, I know. I
It's a
guess
different type.
it was a different time. Anyway, but these managers. So one day, uh, one of the managers came to us and said, "You know what? Stevie Wonder's looking for a backup group for Wonder Love." I said, "Oh really?" I'm saying, "Oh really?" Like, heck you know what I mean? You just bullshit me.
Yeah,
Excuse my language.
Stevie. No, no, you good. Stevie Wonder.
Yeah. Yeah, what? Wait a minute, coming.
Yeah,
You guys,
right.
what do you know about Stevie? I mean, so Seth Riggs, this manager was taking voice lessons from Seth Riggs, who was still a popular vocal coach. I think a lot of his wife and other people are doing it now. He's kind of semi-retired, and he
Mm.
said but Stevie was going to come up there and actually audition for his background group, Wonder Love. And so we said, okay, it was around Easter time. We figured we'd go up there. We'd have nothing to do. So we drove up there, sat around waiting around with this couple of other blind girls over there that were going to perform. And I played for a couple of them, learned a couple of songs they wanted to sing for Stevie. So it was about 2 hours going by. And we
Mm.
said, yeah, um, this ain't going to happen. We said, we were getting full of Easter eggs, man. We get how hungry we eating Easter eggs, and your mouth would get
Right.
dry eating eggs,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
eggs and water. So maybe about after 2.5 hours, where I'm sitting, I can see there's a big glass door, and I could see outside, and up from this pulled Mercedes limo, and out comes John Harris, Stevie's assistant, which I know now. We were, and then he goes to the side, opens the door, and out some Stevie Wonder, and my legs are like shaking, right? Yeah, but I'm excited at the same time.
Right.
And so Stevie walks right in and comes right to me, and says, "So I want, where's Michael?" So I said, "Huh? He heard about me?" So because Seth Riggs, Albie had told him about I was going to be there
Mm.
to teach. And he said, so he came to me and he's asked me some things that were going on in the hood and stuff like that. And so we talked for a minute. He said, "Okay, let's hear what you got, man." So we sat down, my ex and I, we sat down and we started, we sung 4 or 5 songs. And Stevie said, "Wow." And by the time we were in the third, maybe in the third song, he had sat down, crossed his legs, and was into it. I mean, it's
Mm.
fabulous. And matter of fact, he wrote, while we was there, he was writing. Steve would started writing on the spot
Oh yeah.
a song for us, and he said, I got this song. Check this out, man. I want you guys to sing the song." I said, so he said, "Sing this." Dee da 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 dee da 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 dee da da dee da 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 dee da. And I said, we sing, and then she sung her part, my ex-wife Brenda. And come to find out, the song it never got on us, but that was so. But when we got to Motown, I'm kind of going back and forth here. That song eventually came out on Donny Hathaway and Roberta Flack. "If I Ever Lose This Heaven." That's what
Oh
it was.
wow.
I think that's what the song was. Yeah. But anyway, he said, "Look, I'm going to take you to my people at Motown." I said, "What? Really?" He said, "Yeah." I thought you wanted for the background." He said, "No, no, no. You guys should do your own thing, man." And at
Mm.
that time, after the Simpson had just left the company, so I think they were kind of looking
Mm.
for that writing team, or whatever. So, how am I doing here? Stevie said, "So look here, I'm going to be busy. I'm working on my album. I think it was fulfilling this album, fulfilling this, fulfilling
Mm.
this first finale album. Great album. So you got to keep calling me because I'm busy." I said, "Okay, we'll call you." Let me tell you, man, I wore the phone out. You talking about being persistent,
Man.
man? I was a gnat. I was a gnat, a rat, and a turtle. I
Right. He
mean,
was like,
all at the
I'm
same
wearing that
time.
out.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's right.
so and so I mean, one time I called Steve on the phone. I said, "So, see what's going on?" I could hear him come to the phone and say, "Oh man, yeah," like he was tired.
He's like,
so, yeah,
he's like, here's
I know.
Michael B. Sutton again. Like, oh,
I
okay.
know,
What's
really,
up?
really, yeah, I know, really. He said, "What's up?" So anyway, he said, "Hey, man," so he called me. He called 2 days later. He called. He says, "Hey, man, I can't come down. I'm gonna have John come. John Harris. The rest of his soul. He just passed away about 6 months ago. John Harris came. Said, 'Hey, Mike, I'm gonna meet you guys down in Motown, but they want to audition you guys. They want you guys to come and sing." He came down on his 10 speed. We met him down there. And we met there was Iris Garden and the whole staff there. We performed.
Mm.
We sang 5, 6 songs. They said, and everybody's quiet when you finish singing. Everybody's smiling. Ooh, yeah, but nobody's showing any big emotion.
Right.
It's, oh boy, this is a bunch
Mm.
of it ain't happening. But so we. And, I remember somebody. I was Iris said, "Don't spend all your money in one place." I
That's
said,
right.
"Oh,
Right.
that was encouraging."
Okay.
That
So
was
look, so
so
I have a question for you. I don't mean to interrupt,
yeah.
but I have a question for you,
That's
man.
okay.
So in the movie Motown, no,
Mm-hmm.
the Temptations, in the movie The
Mm-hmm.
Temptations, right?
Yeah.
When the Elgins, when they
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
came into Motown, and Barry Gordy was like, so what do you call yourself?" And they were like, "The Elgins." He was like, "No, you got to leave and come out with a different name." And so
Mm-hmm.
then they came back and they said, "Well, we're known as we're going to call ourselves the Temptations." And
Mm-hmm.
so then he had them sing. Was that so?
Mm-hmm.
They had them sing, and then
Mm-hmm.
after they sang, nobody said a single. So if you've seen the movie, right, nobody said anything.
Right.
And
Right.
then all of a sudden, Barry chimed in, and then everybody was like, "Yeah, that was great." Was that
Mm-hmm.
like the norm? Was that the norm
Yeah.
of what
Yeah. It's
happened?
like Yeah, it's kind of like that. But although Barry wasn't in that particular meeting, but later on, I had a whole Barry Gordy story. That's a whole other one. But it was like that. Everybody's kind of like just sitting back, like, "Hmm, it's nice." And then after the meeting, everybody said, "Okay, don't spend all the money at one time." But whatever that meant, And so we go home. Nothing's happening. No calls, nothing like that.
Mm-hmm.
We said, "Oh well." So we just so that's when then we took a gig at the I think my ex-wife Brenda, my ex-wife Brenda, she got a commercial for Clorox at the time, so I helped pay some of the bills, and we were started
Excellent.
gigging at this place in Westwood called the Pizza Palace. So we just make ends meet, 'cause we had
Mm-hmm.
kids. So we sit down maybe a month, maybe somewhere. What did we say? It must have been anyway. Maybe about a month later, we get a call from Iris Gardy's secretary, Mike, Brenda. I'm sorry, you guys. I want you guys to bring in your name, rank, and serial number. I said, what does that mean? She said, we're going to sign you. We said, what? Whoa! We was
Whoa.
like, it was crazy. It was crazy.
That's
Went
right.
down there and we got in there. We bring in all the information so they draw up the contract. So that's the history. That's at Motown. I'm sorry, at Motown. We get there and unbelievable. It was crazy. We were everywhere. They was connected with she, my ex-wife at the time, had stayed with the kids a lot. So, but I was in the mix a lot there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was connected with all kind of people, and I didn't really realize the talent that I had until
Mm.
when I look back now and see what everybody saw that I didn't necessarily see, recognize. And
Mm. Why do you?
from Jerry Butler, and my first session was the first session that they recorded my song. Hal Davis, a great producer, great all
Mm.
of the early Jackson Five stuff, and he was doing the first outside project with Bette Midler, and he recorded two of my songs
I've
on
never
Bette
really heard
Midler.
of that.
Yeah, they never came out, but I did
Bette
two songs.
Midler.
They're still in the can over there, I guess. Then from Bette Midler to
Because what
was it
people didn't
there?
know is that Bette Midler actually was an actual singer,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
just
she
an
could sing.
actress, but she actually was a singer.
She
That's
was
right.
a singer. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So from there, then was what was the group? What's the group next? Went to from there. That's when I met the after it was the Supremes. Supremes.
Mm-hmm.
It was not Diana. She was not in Supremes at the time, but Sherry Payne.
Mm-hmm.
Three songs with them, and then I was hanging out in the office with Lionel Richie. We writing songs, we playing songs and trying to get
Mm.
people to record our song. Lionel Richie and Tina Marie's walking down the hall,
Mm-hmm.
with a guitar, and it was great. It was like a family thing back then. You walk and you see Stevie every now and then. Marvin Gaye, and we
Mm-hmm.
were going home, and we take the freight elevator, and there's Marvin in the elevator. We come out of the publishing department. There's Eddie Kendricks walking down. We are walking past you.
Wow.
David Ruffin. It's like it's like and I'm
Wow.
just out of high school for what 4 years, 5 years, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
here at Motown. So it was a great experience. And then Michael Jackson, Jerry Butler, Jermaine
Mm-hmm.
Jackson, this and Smokey Robinson.
Right.
It ended
That's
up with the
right.
top five record on Smokey.
Wow.
Michael Jackson, Cinderella, Stay a While. The Originals had a number one club record called Down to Love Town. Great album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Down to Love Town. Still a classic. Then I had at one time we'd written or I wasn't producing. I was just writing at the time. So, but because
Mm.
I was Suzanne DePass was my boss, and I was writing with Pam Sawyer, who wrote Love Hangover, a lot of big hits, and
Mm-hmm.
she said you should produce. But I said they won't give me a contract because they want me to write. So we write. So Pam said, "No, you should produce." So anyway, so one day I find myself up in the publishing department, Joe Bett, and Barry's up there. I didn't know he was there, but Pam said Barry's here. So she literally, believe me, what's your first name? I'm sorry, man.
Brian.
Brian, I won't
Yeah.
forget. Brian, she literally drags me into this room. Barry, you got to hear him. You got to hear him. He's a genius. Oh, Barry. Barry said, I know he's a genius. Calm down, Pam. Pam's from England. She's just talking real fast.
Mm-hmm.
I don't Anyway, so Barry said, I know you. Okay, play me five tones for Diana Ross. Five songs for Diana Ross. I said, okay, I played him five tones in a row. He said, make this change here, change the bridge here, or do that right there. He said, oh, you're a genius, blah, blah. Cut these songs on Diana. So that was the beginning of, but
Wow.
I said, I don't have a producer's contract. He said, what do you mean you have a producer's contract? Are you serious? I said, no, I don't. He said, come here. He walks down the hall, picks
You
up
about to
picks up
have
the
one.
phone, calls Suzanne DePass and says, this is when I first knew about the politics of the business.
Right.
Calls Suzanne DePass. He says, Suzanne, I got Mike Sutton here and Crazy Pam Sawyer, and I wanted to cut five things on Diana Ross, but he says you don't have a contract. He hands me the phone like that. I said, and she said, Michael, how come you didn't tell me you wanted a produce contract? I said, Well, I'll be
Like,
interesting. Anyway,
I just told you.
long story short,
I just told you that.
yes,
I
I
told you that before we
know.
came down here.
Oh
But
man. Anyway, ended up recording of five things on Diane, and none of them came out. Didn't come out because at that time we got political, and Michael Master was there was a lot. They didn't know what direction
mm,
she wanted to go at the time. She had a
mm-hmm,
baby, and it was crazy. Anyway, but that led to other stuff as a producer. So now I'm producing, controlling my own environment.
right.
Didn't have to deal with no drugs in my studio, da da da. So I could do my own thing. Then
That's right.
Stephanie Mills came through there. Cut some stuff on Stephanie Mills. Dennis Edwards, lead singer of Temptation, had a
So
smash on him called "When the Lights
okay.
Come Down on Love."
So let's
That's
so let's
another.
talk.
I got
So let's
so
talk
many
about
stories, so
Dennis.
many. Oh man,
Let's
that
let's so
guy
let's
can sing.
let's take a moment and talk about Dennis, right?
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
I lived in St. Louis for about 10 years. Dennis lived in St. Louis at the time, and
Uh-huh.
so I ended up posting on Facebook, my family's Facebook, like, hey, I'm in St. Louis. We got some artists here. This Dennis Edwards is from St. Louis, and all of a
Hmm.
sudden somebody goes, "Oh, Dennis Edwards is there. That's your cousin, right?" I was like,
Really?
"Nah." I was like, "You
Uh-huh.
crazy? You think I'm related? You wait, we related to Dennis Edwards?" I was like,
uh-huh.
"Yeah." That you didn't know that? I was like, "No." So supposedly I'm related to Dennis Edwards as
Uh-huh.
well. Well, that's as well
Really?
as Dionne Warwick. So
Wow.
yeah,
Oh
I come
man, you
from
got some
a
roots.
musical fam. I come from a musical family, and so
Yeah.
yeah, so somewhere
Oh,
is
that's
Dionne
cool.
Warwick and is Whitney Houston and
Wow.
Dennis Edwards in there somewhere. So,
Yeah,
but yes,
Dennis Edwards, that guy could blow. He just could sing, man. It's a natural born. It's
I
crazy. And,
know.
and here's the story, though. This story, a little sidetrack, side note. So everybody was Dennis doing his solo album, and so everybody was trying to fight for that song, get on that project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's me, little old Michael, new guy. So I came up with this song. I played for Barry, and he liked the song. Said, "Cut this on Dennis Edwards." But he said, but Dennis, the rumor, it wasn't a rumor about Dennis. He showed up when he gets ready to studio. I mean, really, he was a riot. But you know what? With Barry, he said, but Barry said his was Barry's philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you got to do, you got to get the job done. That's right. Barry was no joke. He was no joke. He was
Mm-hmm.
serious. And you realize we built this empire, and he built it because he was creative. Barry was also creative, but also a good businessman, a good thinker. He said, "Look, uh, I don't want no excuses. However you do it, you get in there, and cut that track on Dennis." So we said, and so I was calling Dennis. I would call Dennis and say, "We got to come to the studio." Then he said, "Okay, don't show up." Didn't show up. I said, "Oh shit, we got to figure this one out."
Right.
So I called. I said, "I got it," because Dennis loves to perform. So
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Dennis, man, you got to come down, man. I got the tracks cut, man. The track is a smack. You heard the track, the smack. Yeah, I heard the track. I love the track, man. I've been practicing. Yeah, but when you got to show up, then look, man, we got 10 women going to show up here. I mean, hot chicks.
He's like, I'm
I
here
mean,
right now.
he said, man, he said, Mike, when the session is, when the session. I said, Mike, tonight, then let's go. He shows up. He shows up, right? Let me tell you, man. And the girls, and we really did have some friends and some friends of us, and some other girls came by.
Mm-hmm.
Some of their friends came by. They sitting out in the booth, man. And Dennis comes in there, and he just goes crazy. He performs,
I
man.
bet.
You got to hear the track. It's called "When the Lights Come Down on Love."
Mm.
Yeah, you hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's great. Anyway, so that's my Dennis Edwards story.
Yeah.
But it's a great track.
Good old
Great
Dennis.
track. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
never had a chance
Yeah.
to actually meet him because we lived in St. Louis
Mm.
at the same time.
Uh-huh.
I mean, but I was telling my relatives, what am I supposed to do?
Uh-huh.
Drive to his estate and, hi, Dennis. My name is Brian. We're related. Like,
Right.
Dennis is gonna
Right.
be like, Dennis is gonna be like,
Hmm.
hold on, St. Louis Police Department. There's a guy
I
here.
know.
Can you come and get him off my property? Right?
You're right. I
There's
know.
no way that's gonna happen. So
Mm-mm.
I never had a
Yeah.
chance to
So.
meet him. I never
Hmm.
met Dion. Never met Whitney.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I worked with Dion. I actually didn't meet her. She was produced by, I forget the guy's name. I had a song called "I Don't Need Another Love," and we got it to the producer. I forget his name. Anyway, but she ended up recording the song with the Spinners called "I Don't Need Another Love."
mm-hmm.
Yeah. In 19, ooh, that was 1993. It was released. Yeah, it was a single. And then we had our big disappointment was Milli Vanilli. That's
Oh,
again, my book is coming out one of these days.
oh
Milli
yes. Let's
Vanilli,
let's have
Milli
that.
Milli Vanilli, uh-oh, Milli Vanilli. Looking for their second album. Their first album was platinum, 7 million album.
Right.
7 million albums back then was a whole lot of money in albums, right?
Oh yes,
So the second
sir.
album, they getting ready to record the second album. So my manager had a relationship with their manager. They did a song. We wrote this song called um, "I'll Be Loving You Always."
Mm-hmm.
Great song, great track. They went and recorded it. It was going to be the next, probably the first single or the second single off the album. We have like my foreign guy. He's on his way to he made 5 big foreign deals with six figure income. My one guy's on his way over with a big check, just for as
Mm.
in advance. And then all of a sudden, my manager called me on the phone and said, "Michael, did you hear the news?" I said, "What?" He said, "Milli Vanilli, man, it's over." I said, "What are you talking about?"
It was
He
over.
said, "Man," he said, "No, man, did you hear the news?" I said, "No, what's going on?" He said, "Man, it's no more Milli Vanilli." I said, "What are you talking about, no Milli? We got a song coming out on. You crazy?" He said, "No,
Right.
no, man, that's it." And so I had to call and tell my foreign guy he was on his way over with a check for like what 6, 7 grand, I don't know, something like that. And he said, "Man, it happened." So I had to tell him, and man, it's still a disappointment. Yeah, can you imagine? Yeah, it just
When it,
blew up.
I remember when it
Poor guy,
happened. When it
poor
happened and
guys,
it
man.
came on the news, it was like,
Uh-huh.
oh, I think it came out on like MTV. I
Yeah,
think MTV
yeah,
reported and was like,
yeah.
Milli Vanilli aren't really the
And,
singers of their songs. They've been lip syncing this entire time. There's a whole
and,
nother
I
people
know.
that sing. I was
And
like,
and the
what?
yeah, and the radio on the radio. That's what I heard
Oh
on the radio. I
gosh,
turned the
I
radio on. And
know.
heard it. It was a big man. It was
Big.
real. I remember that time because I was sitting in a restaurant with John B and Jesse. She was one of the background singers. John B was played the bass. Used to be on the Arsenio Hall show. Played the bass. Arsenio
Mm-hmm.
Hall show. We were sitting there having lunch. We all we're all complaining about the industry. He was making money from Arsenio, and we sitting there saying, "Well, we got to start over."
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but so
Wow.
so many stories I have, man. But I've been looking at all these. I've started over now. Remarried, and my new wife Anissa. She's a phenomenal singer, dancer, genius. She speaks 2, 3 languages.
Wow.
She runs 3 companies. She started a magazine. We have our own magazine, Pump It Up magazine.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness, a
Oh,
record company.
I have a chance to interview her.
Oh, you
Actually,
this right? Oh,
next week.
oh, next
Next
week, right,
week.
right, right. Yeah,
I think it's
right.
next week.
And we
Next
have,
week.
yeah,
Yes.
we have a record label, The Sound of LA. We have, we got books, our audio books now, books that we write. It's children's books, teaching kids how to speak French and English. We have a
Wow.
organics company. We're selling herbal stuff. Right now, we just selling 2 products. I mean, candles and stuff. That's called West End Organics.
Mm.
We have the book company, and we have called. We also have Your Music Consultant, which I consult for a lot of artists. We're working
Mm-hmm.
artists right now. I have one artist now just ready to chart Billboard. We've had 4, 5, 6 charted albums on Billboard with our company as consultants.
Wow.
Yeah, we have one artist now. She's about to chart
Kudos
Billboard.
on that.
Yeah, so we're staying pretty busy. Yeah, with the company. We have
Absolutely.
a design company. She does website design and social media,
Wow.
digital marketing. Yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah. So we're a great
Yeah.
team. Great team. Yeah, great
Great
team.
team. It
Hmm.
seems like you're very, 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 very busy. So
Oh
once
man, I
again,
tell
like I
you,
said, I
man.
appreciate you taking time to be here for this
Yeah,
time with me tonight. Um,
yeah, no problem.
okay. So all right, I'm going off. I'm not even looking at my questions at the moment. So were
Hmm.
you at Motown when Chaz Dixon was there? Do you know Chaz Dixon?
No, not wait a minute. The name sounds excuse me. The name sounds familiar.
Because I have a friend that I interviewed on this show, and he was talking about his dad, and his dad wrote songs with Smokey Robinson, but he would never name his dad like in the entire interview. And
Mm-hmm.
then I broke down. I was like, look, what's the name of your dad, guy? Like, you can't just mention that he's writing with
Mm-hmm.
Smokey Robinson and he's over at Motown and
Yeah.
all these things. He was like
Terry
my dad's
Dixon.
name. My dad's name is Chaz Dixon. He's written a lot of songs with Smokey, and so I'm not
Th-
really sure what years Chaz was
This
there.
this is this is your dad? This your dad?
No, 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 no.
Oh
It's
no, no, okay,
a
okay.
gentleman that I know named Barope.
Hmm.
His name is Barope Dixon.
What you know? What year that was? 'Cause I
Oh, I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
I could find out. I can always find out when Chaz
Yeah.
was at Motown. Uh, but no,
Because I
yeah, I
was
just thought
there
it was
from
interesting.
yeah, I was there from 74 to like
I'm
80,
looking it up.
maybe 79.
Yeah, I'm looking it
Sure, take your
up.
time.
but but yeah, he was at Motown. Um, if I could spell, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure when he was at Motown though.
Mm. He was a writer, a writer,
Mm,
composer.
mm-hmm. Yep,
Mm.
yep, yep. Chaz
He could have been
Dixon.
there. He could have been there while we were there.
What does it say? February, blah blah blah. Oh, it doesn't say when he was there. He began developing the skills, Emmy Award winning, blah blah blah. He went and co-managed Chaz, and it was enough. Here, Harvey Fuqua, who was a
Oh
writer,
yeah.
producer, former VP of Motown, stepped in
Oh
as
yeah.
Big
Oh
Brother to
yeah.
help
That
develop
he
his
goes
stage
back.
persona.
Hmm.
Uh, and so Smokey, who often allowed Chaz to travel with his band for much needed. Um, but it doesn't say what years he was there. But I do know he was there with Smokey
Hmm.
and writing and doing a lot of the writing with Smokey. I was
Yeah,
just
that
curious.
sounds familiar. It sounds
Yeah, I
familiar.
was just
He's probably
curious.
there at the same because
Yep,
at Joe Pettis, a lot of us at Joe Pettis. A lot of I didn't know everybody's name, but it was quite a few during that time.
yep.
Yeah,
So
probably.
I talked to Frida Payne
We did. Oh, Frida.
um,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. She
last
probably.
week.
Oh yeah. Good. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. We have a second edition of the interview that we did from
Oh
the
good.
first one. But I
Oh
know
good.
that you've been doing some things with Frida Payne and
Yeah, sure did. Yeah, produced two
as
tracks
well.
on
Yep.
Frida. Two tracks, and Anissa handles a lot of her social media,
Hmm.
digital media stuff. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah. Yeah.
artist. Great artist. Yeah,
Great
talent.
artist.
Yeah.
Great artist.
She's a
Amazing.
legend. She's legend. She's a legend. She's been around, man. Let me tell you. She's been
Yep.
around. Yeah.
An amazing woman.
Hmm.
So for you yourself, what was it like working at Motown? You know, being around all of those and yourself. So, okay, so no, matter of fact, I want to rephrase that question. I need to go back to something that you said earlier. You said that let me make sure I get it right. You appreciated your talent later on because
Hmm.
I think you said you didn't think that you were that talented. I
You know, it didn't think that I was talented. I just didn't recognize
recognize it. That's right.
the 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 the, uh, the bigness of it. You
Mm,
the bigness of it and the potential at the time. Because I'm just
mm,
having fun. Just doing what I like to do. So you don't really think about, oh, I'm super talented. I'm the greatest.
right.
I'm like Muhammad Ali of the keyboard, you know. But
Mm,
it's like,
mm-hmm.
but I'm like, I'm just having fun doing what I do. But all of a sudden, then my wife Anissa, she says, wow. She stopped me. She said, "Do you realize what you have here? What you've done?" I mean, I said, "What?" I said, "Michael Jackson, Smokey Robinson, da this and da that, da da da." Cheryl Lynn, got to mention her. Cheryl Lynn, "Shake It Up Tonight," big hit,
Yep.
Ray Parker Jr. So I said, "Whoa!" And it keeps adding up. I said, "Whoa!" All right, so I'm very grateful. I'm very humble and grateful that I had this talent. I do wish. I look back and say, there's so many things I could have done better financially and stuff like that, and spiritually
Mm,
and so forth. But here I am where I am right now at
right.
this moment, and
That's
I'm
right.
grateful, And I've had a lot of support from family, my kids and stuff like that have been very
Mm-hmm.
supportive. But I didn't really, you just don't really, uh, you don't toot your own horn, toot your
right.
horn and blow it in your own face. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you just having fun playing music, and that's what it was. But the Motown, it's a great time. It's a great time. That was my college,
Mm,
really.
mm-hmm.
That was my college. That was my university because I
Right.
was learning all the time. We'd have meetings and we criticize songs. They would critique songs, very critique songs, and he had a great phrase that we love. We love. He said, "We playing a song. We think it's the best in the world." And Barry would say, Yeah, it's great. It's garbage. He said, that's garbage. I said, garbage. We,
Oh, I love
we
it.
just spent, I spent 2 days working on this song, you know. He said,
So,
and then,
s-
okay, go ahead.
no, no. So let me ask you: do you think that type of diligence in the craft, the critiquing of the work, do you think that's missing in today's
Mm.
today's music scene?
Oh, yeah. I just got an email this morning from a guy who said, I'd like to produce some stuff on Anissa. Okay, yeah. So send me some stuff you worked on. So I'm looking for still. I'm back in the day. I'm here today, but I'm also back in the day. I'm looking for him to send a track with a vocal on it. He's got a production. He sent
Hmm.
me a beat. Wait a minute, that's just a beat. I want to see. You want to produce an artist, the whole
Mm-hmm.
song. I'm used to doing what back in the day. We go. I mean, I can work like that today. I'm flexible.
Right.
But back then, we do a piano demo, and then we take that and build that demo from a piano demo to bass, guitar, whatever instrument we have, and build it, vocals, mixing, mastering, the whole bit,
Mm-hmm.
background session, all this stuff goes in, to play. But I think this it's lacking. It's lacking. There's everybody wants it now. Boom, boom, boom. Spotify, boom, boom. Everything's
That's
digital.
right.
Boom, right now, right now.
All
Tracks
right
up,
now.
tracks up. Yeah. Here's the beat. Put some vocals on it. Auto tune
Mm-hmm.
it. Boom. Send it out there. Now they got AI. You heard about the recently what
I
happened with AI,
did.
right?
I did. I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. It's
wow.
wild. Yeah.
It is
And
wild. So when you think about the future of music, I mean, it's
mm-hmm,
it's leading to a place where probably most of us never thought it would really go.
mm-hmm.
I mean, now we can have AI write music, create music, and
Yeah,
perform the
yeah.
music,
Right.
all without just some computer inputs. And
Yeah, that's
so,
it.
you
Mhm.
know, I
But
still
what
think
I
it
think.
takes away
Mhm,
from the creativity and the artistry and the feeling of the
mhm.
song and the music. But it's doable. Yeah, I mean, you can chat GPT your entire album
Yeah.
if you wanted to.
Yeah, you can. Well, yeah, for me, I think that, but see, but there is a hunger somewhere. I think, I love to read something about the sciences. The sciences like things that are far from equilibrium, or frequencies and what's frequent. I'm really into that technology, and I want to find out
Mm-hmm.
more about it and where we're going to the future. Where we're going, I still feel
Right.
like I have a young mind and older body, but a younger mind. but
Hey.
but for instance, like I think that we may be in a good place because what happens is that no one really knows, right? Because if you know, then you're not going to ask no questions.
Right.
So I think we're at a point. I think at a point now where we maybe be forced to ask new questions. Instead of looking
Mm.
for the old answers the same way they used to be, the old paradigm. We say, wait a minute, where are we going? Where are we going with this? So now you got vinyl coming back,
I know.
cassettes,
I
because you
know.
got a generations now who never, what's this? What is this? What is this?
That's right.
So then some people want to record live now. I know one girl, she did a whole live album, young kids. And I was at my daughter's boyfriend's house on Christmas in Mission Viejo. And so we're there chilling out. We play some games and get ready to wrap gifts and stuff. And so we put on some music. So you know what she goes to? She has a rack, wooden rack with vinyl. And they're
Vinyl.
playing, you know what
That's
their
right.
famous music was? Disco music from the 70s.
So
Yeah,
can we
yeah,
talk about that?
yeah.
Because your contribution to disco is substantial. So, mm-hmm. So talk. So can you kind of give us a breakdown of why? I know, right? But can you give us, for those who will be watching, why is such a contribution that you made to the disco era?
Repeat that again. You said,
Yeah,
why did I?
yeah. Can you talk about your contribution to the disco era and why it
Oh,
was so
well,
important to that era?
I think that's one of my stories too. I was just talking about one of my friends that passed away not too long ago, John Barnes, the keyboard player. We're recording the originals at the time, and the change was just coming. That straight four on the bass drum was just coming in, boom, 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 a straight four disco. And I was cutting recording with the producer, and one of the producers had been around for a while at Motown. He was getting ready to leave the company, so I could tell he was kind of going through the motion to get this album done, the original. So he took a phone call. We're in a recording this song called "Down to Love Town," So he goes in to take a phone call back and goes back up in the booth, not the studio. We're bound in the studio. And so me and John, we said, man, let's change this thing, man. This is the old school way. It's the real. We want to go to the straight four, on the bass drum. So we told the drummer, hey, come on. I hope the drummer, Jeff Picaro. We had Jeff Picaro on drums, and we had James Jamerson on bass. Can you believe that? So, classic musicians. Eddie Bongo
Mm-hmm.
on congas, all from the classic Motown. Eddie Bongo. Great session. And I'm on keyboards, and John's on keyboard, and the guitar player, I forget it was Dean Parks. I forget it was Dean Parks. Anyway, so we changed the whole groove. So
Wow.
the producer, Frank Wilson, he creates some big hits, so I can't really knock him for that. He was kind of my mentor. I was learning on him. He comes back in the studio. He said, "Man, what are you guys doing in my song, man? What you guys doing this?" He said, "Get out of here!" He kicked me out of the studio. man, man, Brian, I felt so bad, man. I felt it was a long walk from the studio to the booth by myself,
Wow.
And I remember looking at the expression on John's face made it real bad for me. Anyway, long story short, a month later, Suzanne DePass called me and said, Frank leaving the company, so but we got to salvage this album on the originals. What are we going to do? I said, let me go back in the studio with James Gatson and Henry Davis on bass. Henry Davis, the bass player, used to be for LTD. James
Mm-hmm.
Gatson, probably
Mm-hmm.
one of the top
Mm-hmm.
100 drummers of all time. James Gatson. We go back in. I walk in the studio there. We set up the session there. I put on James and Henry Davis. I take the song down to up to the disco department. I'm playing the track, and the Tom DePiro was the guy who had the disco partner at that time. He said, "Mike, this is a smash." I said, "Oh, thank you, thank you." And so, at the same time, guess who I'm meeting? Who was up there playing his song? Rick James. He's playing "You and I."
Rick
Dun, dun, dun.
James.
Rick James playing "You and I." So and Rick had no braids, just a short cut hair, very short cut hair.
Mm-hmm.
The time we just talking, he said, "Hey, Mike, that's a smash." I said, "Yeah, you got a smash there too, man." Anyway, long story short, we put it out. They released it uh, into the clubs. Nobody's been behind the record at all. It's all through the clubs. So here's
Mm-hmm.
my contribution. I'm related to what my contribution was. Nobody's playing it but some of the clubs. So one day I see Barry coming out of getting out of the car and coming to the office. I say, Barry, the Richards got a smash out there, man, in the clubs. He said, what's up? I said, it's down in Lovetown. Next thing I know, they called me and said, wow, you got a smash. So I was in, everybody was saying, this is a smash. I was in the office one day and I was playing it in the office, and Hal Davis was on here, speaker blasting. Stevie walks in and said, oh, that's a smash. And then Tina Reid walks in and said, it's a smash. And some other people walk in and said, you guys got a smash. And next thing you know, this climbing up the disco chart, just going up fast. And so Barry said, wow. And at the time, Jermaine Jackson had a record out called Let's Be Young Tonight. So they put his on the flip side so he could take the ride with us. So
Mm-hmm.
for the vinyl,
Oh, that's
went to
awesome.
number one. That's when Donna Summers. I mean, it was a great disco era at that time. Donna Summers, a lot of great disco artists. So that was my contribution with disco. Then we had after that, I had of course Cheryl Lynn later on, "Shake It Up
Mm-hmm.
Tonight," big club record.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think there were only two big club records I had with Cheryl Lynn and the originals. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
Then
that
of
is.
course we had my ex-wife and I, Brenda, we had this club record on the East Coast called "Rip My Hips" that did pretty
Mm-hmm.
well in the clubs. It's called "Rip My Hips."
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
hmm
absolutely.
And we'll make and the record called "We'll Make It." Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's your career has been substantial. From
Thank you.
the very beginning, even up to now. I mean, you've worked with so many different artists, collaborated with so many
hmm
different people to create so much
hmm
timeless music.
hmm
I do have a question. What was it
Sure.
like working with Michael Jackson?
Fun,
Mm.
fun. Like one of my sons. When I look back at it now, he was
Mm-hmm.
fun. He was all about fun. He was a kid, but he was a kid, but you could tell that he was mature and his ears were he was always listening.
Mm.
You knew he was going to be somebody. It just was normal. We're in the studio, so with Hal Davis, I'm in the studio. We recorded the song "Cinderella Stay a While,"
Mm-hmm.
and he's in there. He has an assistant with him when he's working in the studio. He's never by himself. He has an assistant, personal assistant.
Right.
Judy, I forget her name. What's her name? Anyway, Susie Ikeda. That's her name, Susie. And so we're working on the song. Michael's singing the song. He's no doubt he studied the track. He didn't have to come in and say, "Oh, I don't remember this part." Boom, he sings it down, sings it down. Great. But then he has ideas. Hey, say, how about if we so and so? If I do this, if I do this so and so. Hal says, "Oh no, it's no." I said, "Oh, come on, Hal." And so Michael in the studio, he's making faces at Hal like this. When he's not looking at it, I said, "Come on, Hal, let's do it, man. Let's do it."
Right.
And he said, Mike said, "Yeah, come on, thank you, Michael. Let's do it." So anyway, if people listen to the song "Cinderella Stay a While," underneath,
Mm-hmm.
in the background, is a little chant he's doing. It's like a counter thing he was doing.
Mm.
He was constantly hearing and creating all the time. He was just talent, super talent.
Super
I
talented.
think he just was just, I mean, amazing. And but it was, I like I said, we had a lot of fun in the studio.
Right.
Fun. But I
Yeah.
don't. But you know,
Yeah.
think about it, I don't have any pictures. I didn't take any pictures back then.
Mm.
We didn't have cell phones like they do
Right.
now to take
Right. We
pictures,
did.
and everybody
Right.
was kind of bothered about taking pictures and with the camera,
Exactly.
camera in your
I
face.
mean,
It's
cause you.
like,
I mean, cause yeah, you probably had like a big giant camera, like a box. Like we didn't
yeah, right,
have, like
yeah,
back in I wish we call it back in the day, right? You didn't have
yeah,
access. I mean, anybody can whip out their phone now, and click, click, click,
yeah, oh
and
yeah.
take
And
a million
we had
photos. But
the Polaroids, the Polaroid.
exactly,
It's,
exact, exactly. Oh,
but
you had the
when
thing with the
but
bulb.
yeah, exactly. But Michael it was really talented, and
Mm-hmm.
as much as I can say, that's all I know is that we just had fun in the studio. It was business but fun. It was fun. Yeah, fun.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You're the
Again,
first person that I met that's actually worked with Michael Jackson, and pretty much have
really.
said the same thing.
Mm,
Yep. So
yeah.
the first person that I know that has worked with Michael, his name is George Mayers. His name is
Mm-hmm.
Junior. They call him Junior.
I don't think I know. Really.
He's out in Virginia. He was Teddy Riley's chief engineer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then the second guy that I knew that I know is Carl Napa out in St.
Mm-hmm.
Louis. He did some work with Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jackson. And then of course the
Mm-hmm.
third person is Teddy Riley himself. So
Oh yeah.
and now
Yeah, they did
yourself.
later on. Yeah,
Yep,
then later
later
on.
on.
I
Yep, the
was
later
I
on.
had the early. I had the early as 16
Y-
years old. 16 years
Yeah,
old. But
you had the early Michael Jackson. I think they
yeah,
ended up
yeah,
having the later Michael
yeah,
Jackson.
yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
yep. So,
Great. It's a legend. All time one of the best
absolutely.
performers is just
Well, I mean,
supremely missed. Yeah.
right, absolutely. I mean, what I love about the music industry is that
Mm-hmm.
there are people that, like yourself, who are actually legends in their own right that
Mm-hmm.
have given the same amount. I mean, Michael, and artists. I mean, that's their job is to be in the limelight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as producers, songwriters, composers, you're not really in the limelight like how an artist is.
Right.
And
Right.
so I mean, you're creating and writing the music and creating the music and the feeling around it. And the artist
Mm-hmm.
goes out and performs it and sings it, and they get all the
Right.
accolades, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, the true legends are people like yourself, who
Well,
are
thank you.
who are in the, I don't want to say in the back, but you are in the back, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's good. It's what it
Cre-
is.
right, creating and
Yeah.
designing and crafting those
Mm-hmm.
masterpieces, because those
Mm-hmm.
songs wouldn't exist without any of you.
Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
true.
So,
That's true.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
Cinderella Stay Away, you would have never heard of it if it didn't have the music
Yeah.
and if it wasn't written by, composed and written by you as well. So
Yeah.
you just would never have it.
Yeah. And for
Uh,
example, here the guy who I wrote it with. See, to tell you another about the my talent, how I looked at it. Mac David, he was a
mm,
co-writer of the song.
mm-hmm,
Mac David is the one. Maybe you heard of Hal David and Burt Bacharach because Hal
mm-hmm,
David just passed. Hal, well, he had a brother named Mac David. He was a lyricist.
mm-hmm,
Hal David was a melody guy. Burt Bacharach was with the keyboard and but anyway, Hal David with Dionne Warwick. Mac David wrote was it Bibbidi Bo Bibbidi for Disney,
wow.
all the Cinderella stuff. So I'm connected with him. I'm 20 something years old. He's probably heading 50 or 60. I don't know how. He's taking me to down there to Musso and Frank's Grill downtown, introducing me to movie directors and stuff. I have no idea. When I'm just having a good meal with a guy
Mm-hmm.
who's fun, could be with an older guy, and we're writing a song. He comes to my house, right by the stand range, and I'm on the piano playing this melody, da 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 da, and he said, "I got an idea. I wrote the original Cinderella song, baby, baby, and da da da, movie Cinderella."
Wow.
I said, "Yeah. So how about this, Cinderella? Stay a while." He's writing there, right on the pool table. He's just writing, and so there I was. I come up with a song with Mac David, a legend, Academy Award nominee. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Butler
Mm-hmm.
comes through there, Motown, right with Jerry.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah, no,
S-
Stephanie Mills. Yeah, whoever
Stellar.
came through there, just about. Hmm.
Yeah, that is a stellar career because not only do you do and crafted and design a lot of music for artists,
Hmm.
but you've also done a lot of film and television.
Yeah,
And so
that's.
so how did you get into that space? How did you get into film and television?
Well, I haven't
I
done any major film, but the first one was, of course, was a big. It's kind of a cult classic now. It was One False Move.
of
One False
course.
Move. With Carl Franklin directed it and stuff like that. Billy Bob Thornton and Michael Beach and who else was in there? Cinda Williams.
Hmm.
I was just this manager friend of mine introduced me to this music supervisor, and he was doing a lot of Roger Corman. Roger Corman does a lot of cult movies. Roger Corman, Frankenstein, they did a lot of movies. Anyway, but they connected me with this other. They needed some music, some cues for this movie called One False Move. So they contacted me, and how I first got into it, they called me to see if you ever wrote for a movie before? I said no, but I can do it. And so they sent me they had a song called Watchers.
Mm.
Corey Haim, Corey
Corey
Haim,
Haim.
the actor, Corey the
Mm-hmm.
actress. It's called Watchers 2, where he got hit by the monster.
Mm-hmm.
We need a song when he's in the jungle and the monster gets him, and we need a song there. But I need it right away, so I could. The editor's on the phone. I'm writing the song while the editor's there on the phone. I write the song right there. He
Wow.
calls me. I said, "Hold on." Give it to him. He said, "Wow, thank you, man. You saved us." I said, "Okay, no problem." So it comes out in that particular scene, and he's in the woods, and he gets hit by the monster. It's like gospel kind of song. Jesus is leading me. Anyway, it's
Mm.
Southern gospel.
Mm-hmm.
That led to another thing, and which because they knew I was fast, so they had another with editing with the Carl Franklin movie, One False Move. They needed 5 cues, seven. It ended up being 8 cues, almost like I was constructing the score. We had about 8 cues in there, the same Cinda Williams, what have you, and
Wow.
Mike and matter of fact, Carl Franklin came to our house. We sit down, going over the cues and stuff like that. Next, you know, that he won an MTV award for best director that year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. I don't know if you saw that movie. It's a great movie. You got to check it out. One False
Mm.
Move with
Oh
Cinda
no.
Williams. Yeah.
Like who hasn't seen? Yeah, absolutely. Of course, One
Oh yeah,
False Move.
yeah, yeah,
Like who?
yeah, yeah. The opening dance scene when she's in the house and there's music playing. That's us. That's my song. All
Oh,
throughout the song.
see,
Yeah,
so now I have a different context when I go back and watch it again.
yeah, yeah.
So, yeah,
And
absolutely.
then let's see what one music the film that one. Then we came to this this producer. His name was dang, I can't think his name. Was from France, and he was work. You remember the series Emmanuel?
Yeah,
It's like a
absolutely.
soft porn, Emmanuel. So
Mm-hmm.
okay, so I get a call from the producer. They said from the new supervisor said they're doing a new Emmanuel. It's called Emmanuel in Space. They're doing a
Right.
new
Right.
Emmanuel in Space with what's the girl Krista tell me what's her name the girl that was in the elevator on with Jim Carrey on
Oh, on
the
Liar
Liars.
Liar, Liar
Yeah, the
Liar.
Lion. He's
Yeah.
up the real
Was
cute girl in the
Kristen
Kristen.
Dunst?
Kristen, no, darn it, I
No,
can't. Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was Kristen
yeah.
Dunst.
No, Kristen.
Look,
I can't think. Kirstie Alley. Kirstie Alley.
oh, Kirsten.
Kirstie Alley.
Was that
Kirstie
Kirstie
Alley.
Alley?
Not the
Oh
older
yeah,
Kirstie, but
in
this
Liar
one.
Liar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And anyway, the cute girl, hot chick on the elevator. Anyway, so they said. So I said, yeah, I'll write something. So I got a friend of mine, Wendy. Uh, got together. We started writing a song called
Oh yeah,
Emmanuel.
Krista. You talking about Krista Allen?
That's her. That's her. Yeah,
Yep,
really
Krista
pretty.
Allen.
There you
Yep.
go. Yeah, pretty good. Emmanuel in
Yeah,
space. That's
in
it.
the erotic
So
TV series Emmanuel in
yeah,
Space. Right.
yes, sir. And so I sent it. So I sent the song in. They said, and so the producer calls me. He said, "Ooh, we Michael, I really love this song. It's a beautiful song." I said, "Great." I said, "Who's going to sing it?" I'd like for you to sing it. I said, "So what? You really?" Oh no! So I ended up singing the song and the theme song to Emmanuel in Space. And let
Wow.
me tell you, man, I got reamed by my kids. Everybody said, "That's your dad, man. Your dad is singing Emmanuel in Space, bro." Emmanuel. So forward, I tell you. But
Your
it
kids are
was
like, Dad,
great.
that's
Great
you?
experience.
What?
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
great. Yeah, it's
Wow.
fun though. But my
Yeah.
film stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's the thing, right? You have a very rich career, seasoned career,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I always tell people it's the people that this is my philosophy, or at least my perspective on things. It's the people
Mm-hmm.
that really are behind that make the things happen aren't really the people who you actually see out in front. It's the
Mm-hmm.
people that's behind. So while
Yeah.
everybody is trying to, oh, I need to talk to Jay-Z, or I need to talk to Beyonce, or get in with Michael Jackson, like that's awesome. I love all those
Yeah.
people,
Right.
but it's
Oh,
really
the
the
Jay Z
people
thing. Oh, that was a
in the back.
classic. Yeah.
It's really the people
Yeah.
in the back that really
Oh
make
yeah.
things happen. Oh yeah.
That was a surprise too. That Jay Z and Kanye West. One fault. I mean, guess who's back?
Mm-hmm.
So we get one day we wake up in the morning, we get to go get the mail, and there's a check in the mail for like a few $1,000s. Oh, come on, we got this wrong. What's this song? Is this ours? Wait a minute. Oh no, nice check. I gotta turn this back in. Oh shit, I gotta turn this back in.
Right.
All right. So I said maybe I better call ASCAP before I do this because it was a
Mm-hmm.
nice check. I should call. But maybe it's a mistake, but maybe it's a good mistake. but
Exactly.
anyways, so I called them. They said, "Yes, that's a song. That's Guess Who's Back." I said, "Yeah, but it says Kanye West, Jay Z, and my name on it." They said, "Yeah." So I've come to find out they sampled the song from the group The Originals
Mm.
called
Mm-hmm.
"Sunrise."
Mm-hmm.
Kanye sampled the song. What a genius, the guy. I'm talking about it, but
Absolute
the guy,
genius.
how he figured that beat out, and out of all the albums that he got, he go and pick my song right there and out of that off his shelf and say, "This is the one I'm going to use," and
Mm-hmm.
it becomes a big hit, big hip
That's
hop
right.
classic.
That's right.
Guess who's back? It's a hip hop classic,
It's a hip hop
any way
classic.
you look at it. Yeah,
It absolutely.
everybody, and everybody was freestyling to a 50 Cent. Everybody was. I
Mm-hmm.
got a CD with everybody freestyling on it. It's great
That's right.
mixtape. Yeah, and it won a Source Award, mixtape of the year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. Yeah.
So no, I
So
mean,
that's that story.
and that's the beauty is that you can always wake up and you go to the mailbox and there's
Yeah,
checks. There's
yeah,
checks in the mail.
yeah, yeah. That's
Absolutely.
right.
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Hmm.
who did I tell this? I told this to somebody. I think a friend of mine. I said I think the as yourself.
Hmm.
I told him I said I think the writers at like Motown were futuristic. I
Hmm.
think they knew that the music that they were making were going to be
Hmm.
music that was going to be sampled like decades later. Like
Hmm.
literally, a lot the music that was made at Motown
Hmm.
are in songs that you hear all over the radio. From
Right.
Kanye to Jay Z to all these
Exactly.
producers who sample all these
Right.
records, Pete Rock, right? And they're
Hmm.
taking all of these classics and making, and I'm like, listen to the melodies
Hmm.
in all of in this music. I'm like, they
Hmm.
had to be thinking about it. They had to like, you know what? One day somebody's probably going to want to use this. So
Hmm. Yeah, that's right.
we're gonna make great music so that it can be sampled and we can get checks later on. So
No, I don't know if they thought it that way. I think they were just having fun, like I say, just doing music.
mm,
They were just talented, and it's amazing how the ear of these people,
mm-hmm.
the ear Barry had to pick like a Marvin and of Smokey, and
Right.
and I always liked this philosophy, Barry's philosophy. It's like Barry said, we had a meeting one time, man. All the old producers kind of moving out and the new ones coming in. So he had a meeting in the Costa. He invited me and two other producers, young producers. We went down to the Costa and he said, He said the way that I, so the way that I, he said the way that I built this company, I never was afraid to bring in somebody better than myself. So he built it upon. He said, Barry came, I brought in Smokey. Smokey
Mm-hmm.
brings, they gives Norman Whitfield, and then you got Holland Dozier Holland. So he's building this whole empire. You see,
Right.
so
Mm-hmm.
but he never afraid to have a leader involved.
That's right.
So, you can go ahead, yeah, go around. Well, I know you said,
That's right.
but yeah, yeah, my daughter, she's in the
How it
studio
is.
waiting for me.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep. No, we're
it's
yeah, we're almost done.
it's okay.
I
And
promise.
they, but they, so yeah, but it was, that's what he built. He said, I never was afraid to bring somebody better than me. And he said, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why to lead, you have to follow. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah. And you know, like I think somewhere in the Bible says, the greatest among you who's become
The least.
not as master, but the least among you, is the greatest among you, the
Yep.
servant. Because really, you're just a servant. You say, hey, wow, people come to bring you music. That you're at your service. At your service.
That's
Okay,
right.
I'm gonna do this for you. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. You know.
That's right.
So you become a minister.
Mm.
Anyway,
You become a
so
minister, right?
go back to the beginning. I guess I
Exactly.
was groomed to be a minister. I ended up being one anyway. You know.
That's right. And it was just used in a different capacity. So
Yeah, exactly.
wow.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
Michael, let me ask you. So
Sure.
for
Hmm.
anybody that's getting into this field today,
Hmm.
when you look out at the world of music as it is right now, what
Hmm.
would you tell new artists, new producers, well, even seasoned people who have been in this
Hmm.
industry for a while? What would you tell them based upon your experience?
Go with your gut feeling. What you feel strongly to do. Educate yourself to your potential and your capacity that you can find out more about what your craft is. Uh, but don't, in the words of Barry Gordy, don't dilute yourself. That's what he used to tell me all the time. Be open, listen uh, to others, to those that I kind of paved the way for you today, but also speak. Speak your truth. Speak your truth. Play your truth and sing your truth. What you believe. What you believe. Because you don't know. It's like Luther Vandross. Even though disco was coming out, he still was true to his vibe. He didn't just do, I'm just going to change it. He just stuck, man, I'm Luther. Stevie, I'm Stevie.
Hmm.
Marvin, I'm Marvin. You can remix my music, but I'm still Marvin. So just stay true to yourself. To thine own self be true. That rings with anyone. It may be tough, and you may lose out, you may sink for a minute, but that don't mean you won't get back up at some point. And some people look at you and say, wow, he's just stuck to what he done. Look at Prince and the Barry Whites, and people, all these, they're just it's great musicians. And I come from that era, so am I spoiled? Probably, you know. Yeah, because they were just great musicians. The sound, and
Hmm.
we don't have that anymore. But who do we have now? John Legend? Okay, but well, he's not a Barry White. He's not a Marvin Gaye. You
Right.
know. These guys are just it's so my advice for people is just be true to what you love. If you love it and if you're passionate about it, you're gonna keep doing it. You know. One little secret. One time, I cleaned out my whole house just to buy a keyboard. Just,
Exactly.
yeah,
That's
you know what
right.
I mean.
Yep.
To buy a keyboard. Yeah,
Yep.
I remember writing. I wrote a hit song. I wrote "Shake It Up Tonight" on a motel bed.
Mm.
So we were in between moving at the time. I wrote "Shake It Up Tonight" the melody on a motel bed. Keyboard on a motel bed. So
Wow.
if you're passionate about it, you're gonna stick with it. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Wow. So before we end, can you tell us what you've been working on lately? What can we expect? What's coming down the pike?
Well, I'm in the studio with my daughter right now. I have a bass player, a funk bass player. He's doing a remake. He's doing a challenge. I challenged him to do a remake of "Stomp" by the Brothers Johnson. Okay, so we're doing that. So my
Oh.
daughter's gonna do the vocals. Yeah, it's good. It's
Oh.
coming out good. It's gonna be different. And he got a track out now, Mitchell Coleman Jr. It's called "Gunslinger." It's a bass funk.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
Mr. Coleman
bad.
Jr. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's,
I got
it's
an interview with
funky.
him coming up too.
You do, yeah, but you got to hear "Gunslinger." Have you heard "Gunslinger"?
I don't
Oh,
think I
it's
have.
sick. It's sick.
Mm.
Yeah, it's sick. Gunslinger, and then I'm working on my wife, niece's new record. It's called "Celebrate." Celebrate the love that we have. Yeah, and it's
Wow.
like our love is our relationship. celebrating. And we have what's this? Oh my goodness, I'm working on Wendy Dale Young. She has a new single out called. She did a remake of "The Look of Love," like a smooth jazz version. Wendy Dale Young, phenomenal singer, great artist. Um, her dad is. I don't know if people don't remember her dad was Alan Young, Mr. Ed from the Mr. Ed show back. The Horse is a Horse.
Oh
That's her dad. Yeah,
yeah, the famous
she's
Mr. Ed. Yes.
that's him, man.
Oh yeah.
She's doing got a new single out. She's really doing
Wow.
well. She's a singer, dancer, a writer. She's writing a script. She has a play that she's working on. Super talented
Mm,
girl. And actually, and also lyricist that we work with as well. Jan Daly. She's nominated. Artist. I wrote a song, co-produced a song with her called "The Way of a Woman." She's nominated. She's been inducted to the Women's Songwriter Hall of Fame this year in June.
nice.
And the song that we produced is, and she's on Billboard, getting ready to chart Billboard probably in the next few weeks. But right now, she's on the charts at right number right bubbling under the Billboard chart at right number 30, something like that. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're working on that, and working on my track. I got a new song called coming. I'm working on. It's called "You Give Me Wings." Yeah, it's kind of like an R. Kelly. Oh, excuse me, saying R. Kelly. It's okay, but
No, look, look,
yeah, that's my
look,
guy. I don't care. He got some good music,
look.
man. I don't
Let
care.
me. I don't mean to interject, right? You just said R.
Yeah,
Kelly.
yeah.
Look, here's the thing. R.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly was a genius. He
Oof.
came out
Yeah,
with some amazing music.
yeah,
People loved his
yeah,
music until they find out what he
yeah,
did. But that doesn't take away
yeah.
from the music that he made, right? I
No, it
mean,
didn't.
Disney did some questionable stuff, but y'all still go to Disneyland, so I mean, or Disney
Tell me
World, so
about it. That's
right. So I
right.
mean,
Like Bill Cosby. Okay, we did,
I'm
but come on,
saying,
don't take off the Cosby Show. You know the Cosby
right?
Show because that's
Exactly,
my kids watch. My kids grew up on the Cosby Show. We didn't let them
exactly.
watch nothing during the week, no TV. But you guys watch the Cosby because that's a middle class black family.
That's right.
They
That's
showing
right.
that you guys are successful. They're going to college. They learning
That's
stuff.
right.
That no, don't
That's
take
right.
that stuff off.
It
Don't
it
no.
doesn't remove the
Yeah.
the contribution
Mm.
that they have given to the arts because they did some crazy stuff. It doesn't remove that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's our
So
culture. That's our culture.
yeah,
That's our
it's like.
culture. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
But I'm sorry. Anyway, you got an album.
Mm-hmm.
You got a single coming out.
So the single
Yes,
coming
sir.
out soon. Probably, I would imagine in a couple of months. Maybe no, maybe next in
Okay.
June. Called "You Give Me Wings." I get finishing up the lyrics on that one. Mitchell. Let's see. I have another kid. This kid that I'm telling a lot of people. His name is Randy White. He has a great super writer, performer, and a young kid. Like, he must be about in his 20s. Super writer. We're working. I'm
Mm,
doing some work with him. Yeah, some social media work with him to promote him as well. Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
that's
And that
awesome.
jazz band, we just worked with a jazz band called the Verve Jazz Ensemble. It's a traditional jazz band. They've been around for quite a while. And it's a lot of things
Hmm.
I'm into right now. Yeah. So staying
Absolutely.
busy. Staying busy.
You have a busy
Yeah.
life, busy
Yeah.
career
Mm-hmm.
with all the things
And
that you
having
have
fun.
going on and having
Having
fun.
fun.
That's
Yeah,
right.
having fun at it.
That's
Fun
right.
at it.
And having fun. So
Yeah.
where can people find you, your music, connect with you?
MichaelBSutton.com. The music, our record label is The Sound of LA, thesoundofla.com. You know, TSOLA, TSOLA, thesoundofla.com. You see a lot of our artists there. Check out the music. Spotify, Instagram is, I think, at Study Michael. Um, the website, I told you, michaelbsutton.com. And yourmusicconsultant.com. If anybody needs
Mm-hmm.
social media work, we do Spotify promotion with all legal stuff above board. We don't buy bots. We don't do spam.
I
It's
see that all the
real
legal
stuff.
stuff,
We do with real stuff. We no playing around. It's slower, but it's real. Yeah,
and that's the best.
yeah, for
That is the
sure. Yeah.
best. That's right.
Hmm.
So, Michael, can you hold on for just one moment while I take a moment and close this out?
Sure.
Sure. One second. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, Mr. Michael B. Sutton. It's a pleasure just to get into know. I have like a whole lot more questions. We're gonna come back and do like a part two. I have a whole bunch more questions that I want to ask because the depth and breadth of his career. I can't wait for his own memoir to come out to find out all the juicy stuff. Right, that's all we are interested in, the juicy stuff when it comes to those types of books and those people who've been around in those different situations. Uh, and so make sure you support, make sure you go to Instagram, follow all those different things. Make sure you support us here at We Create Music TV for us bringing the content that we bring to you as well. So once again, thank you very much for tuning in. and appreciate all of you for being here. Peace. Thanks. Goodbye.